I think this round we finally broke them down. They kind of fell apart a bit. If there's one thing we've clarified on this channel, it's that most nutrition creators just have no idea what they're on about. So when humans fail, we turn to robots, and that leads us to today's video. My name's Shay, I'm a nutritionist and an international level athlete, and today we're challenging 3 different bots. We got ChatGPT, Claude, and Bard from Google, and we're gonna see if they can make us a good diet. So I've got 3 levels of difficulty for them. The first one is just gonna be a standard healthy diet with a calorie target, and then we're just gonna keep bumping it up until I've got a laundry list of demands, and we'll see if they can keep up. So first off, we've got ChatGPT. This is the one most people know about. And we're gonna ask it, write me a healthy diet plan that gets me to 3,000 calories over 3 meals. Yeah, and I'll just copy that so I can try the next bots. Let's see what it does. All right, a cup of oats, cup of almond milk, and it's also given us a few tips and the breakdown of the macronutrients that we're actually getting, which is interesting. Let's find out what Claude did. Okay, coincidentally, I think we're looking at a very similar diet here. I'll plug it in and see how much it differs. And lastly, let's look at Gemini or Bard from Google. Let's see how they do with the same prompt. Mostly the same stuff again. The thing is, they don't give me any grams. You could eat this diet at 2,000 or 4,000 calories just depending on how many grams you have of things, so I think that's a bit of a weakness there. I'm gonna plug this into Chronometer, which I believe is the best software for just analyzing your diet, and we'll see how it holds up. Okay, so looking at the outline that ChatGPT gave us, first of all, it went way over. Okay, I said get me to 3,000. I guess I didn't put a limit on it, but if I'm saying 3,000, I don't mean 3,800. Now, that of course, there's some variation with the products that you're choosing, but let's have a look at the micronutrients and the macronutrient content. So protein is very high, actually. It's done well there. Potentially too high. I don't think that's necessary to have it that high. Probably want, 1.6 to 2.0 grams per kilogram. And if we look at the micronutrients, the thing is, a lot of these foods are expensive. For one, they're very high quality, high micronutrient density foods, which is good. But the issue is they're so micronutrient dense that you'll see a few red things here. That means we're pushing towards the upper limit, which means the limit at which too much of a micronutrient is becoming a bit detrimental, and there might be a few risks. So having this day after day might be a little bit problematic. But yes, it is mostly healthy foods. As well, it can be hard to reach a high calorie target with mostly whole foods just because they are usually a lot more satiating, so that's there to keep in mind as well. But if you don't have an issue with hitting your calorie target, then I wouldn't worry about it. So next up, let's see what Claude did. So I've got that one in the next day, and similar story. It pumped out 3,800 calories again, and it's all the same. So I don't know if there's a certain document they're finding and just pumping it out, but it's interesting, isn't it? I would assume these are going to get split up in the next level, so let's get into it. Okay, so now I'm going to eliminate Gemini because it seems a bit reluctant to actually give us the values we want. So back to ChatGPT. Okay, so I'm going to say, I want, write me a diet plan with exactly 3,000 calories, 2 meals with 140 grams of protein total, a rice dish for dinner, and some red pudding med frø, because I'm feeling a bit Danish. That's actually how you say it.
Rød budding med fløde.
So let's see how that goes. This is going to be a pain to put in here. ChatGPT loves giving me so many ingredients. Let's see if Claude does something similar. So I can just copy paste that over. And what's nice about Claude is it gives me a little document that I can actually download, which is pretty cool. Being a bit more friendly, there's less things I have to enter. So I'm going to enter all those things, which is tedious, but we do it. I'll be back in a second. All right, we're back. I entered everything. ChatGPT was a massive pain because it gave me so many ingredients. So for my efforts, if you are enjoying, just be sure to drop a like and subscribe. I am trying to grow this channel. I think there's a big gap as far as actually good nutritional content out there, so I'd really appreciate the support. But anyway, ChatGPT said 200 calories for a cup of cooked rice, so I'm assuming they mean cooked, but it didn't specify, and I realized that might be some of the error for the last section, but they got to specify, right? Because I was adjusting the one in Claude there because it was a little high and I saw it said cooked brown rice, whereas ChatGPT doesn't. So Claude gets a few points there. So how did ChatGPT do? So for one, they actually did well with the calories. I think if it's within like 200 calories, you can kind of put that down to the variation between the food choices. It's done well there. And additionally, it's done a bit better with some of the micronutrients. We're not overloading on too many of them now. We're just kind of hitting the mark with most of them. I'm not too worried about sodium there. The media is, but they don't really stabilize for high processed food diets. So I'm not afraid of sodium. Protein's really high. I said 140. It's way overshot that. The issue I have here is just it's so many ingredients, right? A lot of us lead busy lives and it can be hard to coordinate 25 ingredients for a certain day. Additionally, it's, particularly if you're not even making these in advance, it's going to be quite hard to manage. So overall, it's done all right. I think I'm impressed with the calorie total. And again, it's very good quality, high micronutrient density foods, and there's not really any massive red flags here beyond the price and the potentially inconvenience. So let's see how Claude did. So Claude has done a reasonably good job with making it a little more manageable with less total ingredients. They've really hit the mark with total calories consumed, which is nice. Again, if it's within 200, I'm not too worried, and it just so happens that I think the variation is lined up so that it's right on the money. Protein is right around where I asked for. I said 140, it gave me 160. It didn't overshoot it like ChatGPT. And micronutrient totals are pretty good. You could say it's a bit low on vitamin K, which is concerning. Maybe a few more servings of certain vegetables, like maybe spinach in there. Vitamin D is low, but we get that from mostly the sun. Fiber's good. It's done a pretty good job. Like, I would endorse this diet. I think it's a little more manageable to make, and it's a little more higher calorie, and above all else I can fit in my red being mefroy, which is very important. Okay, it appears a little bit more affordable too, but in the next round I'm going to put a budget on them, so let's see how they do. Okay, so now I'm going to go write me a diet plan with minimal ingredients to hit 4,000 calories with 150 grams of protein. I also want it on a budget, moderate iron intake, and an afternoon snack with adequate carbs to fuel my training session. I'm not saying minimal ingredients because I can't be us entering it. I'm challenging it, guys. Allow it. Okay, it's still giving me a lot of ingredients. Oh, this is going to take a while. Let's see if Claude does any better as far as the ingredients go, and then we'll plug everything in like we did in the last 2 rounds. Oh, it's a lot of ingredients again. Come on. I didn't anticipate how long this would take to film, but here we are. We're learning something, right, at least. Okay, so I'm going to plug these in again, and we'll be back. Okay, the results are in from the last round, the third and final. Let's see how they did. So we'll start with ChatGPT again. Again, they pumped out a very similar diet. I implemented a little bit of sports nutrition related things. I wanted some pre-training fueling, which I don't think have done very well. Yes, there's carbs in here, but peanut butter is a little bit useless here. We don't want fats, and we don't want fiber either from the whole grain right before training. It can be a bit problematic for some people. Additionally, what is this dinner? Just beef and potatoes. There's nothing else to it. And we'll look at how that held up in the chronometer readings. So it did hit the 4,000. It did hit the protein target, and it was very high iron. I'm guessing that's why they put so much beef in it, but that's a lot of iron. We're close to 500%, which is a bit problematic. I think that's way past what would be safe, given that it's all coming from beef, which is very bioavailable. If it's high iron but it's plant sources, it's going to be relatively a lot less because we just absorb less. I'd be a little bit on the edge about that. If you're eating this every day, that could become an issue with iron overload. Yes, our body does adapt and we uptake less when we're full of iron, so it's less likely to happen, but I don't know if it should be recommended. I don't think it did that well, okay? I don't think it did that well. It's not going to allow you to train as well as it could have if you were maybe seeing a qualified nutritionist. and there are some issues here. Let's see how Claude did. By the way, it's kind of cool. It gives me like a little shopping list here at the bottom. I do like Claude. This is the one I use regularly. Let's see how it did. I'll pull up the chronometer, and it's done iron at about 300% of your daily intake, which is fine. I don't think that's dangerous. All the micronutrient totals are fine, except for a couple. Selenium and manganese are way off the charts. I'm guessing, is that from the tuna? Selenium, yeah, there's a tuna. You don't want some of these metals to be too high. This is why we say don't eat too many Brazil nuts, because the selenium content is good, but you don't want too much, because metals can be quite hard to chelate or get rid of out of the body, so that's problematic. I think this round we finally broke them down. They kind of fell apart a bit. If we look into the pre-training snack, it again did whole wheat bread. I think there's a program to think that whole grains are always better. Not necessarily. I think right before training you'd rather have less fiber. That's the one case which it failed to identify here. And it also did peanut butter, so they're kind of running similarly. Protein is way high. I said did I say 140 grams? It completely overshot that, and you're kind of just wasting it at 280 grams. Like, I'm not a cow. Like, have you seen one of those Belgian blue cows? That's not me. Don't need that much. Yeah, it kind of fell apart. So now that's all done, what's the final verdict? I think these are a tool to give you a bit of insight into your diet, but I don't think these hold up. I was a bit more optimistic in the first round when we're just asking for something generalized, and it gave us, you know, a reasonable diet plan, which was reasonably whole food and micronutrient dense. But as far as really fine-tuning things, this is where it falls short. Because, okay, these things are full of great information, but they lack critical thinking. And I think that's where a qualified dietitian or sports nutritionist would come into play here, because we can work things around your diet a bit better and make sure the pre-training stuff is a bit more sorted out. These are just pumping you full of vegetables. Surprisingly, you don't necessarily want that, you know. You can have enough, but it's giving me like 3 or 4 cups for my dinner when I'm trying to reach a high calorie target, which is a bit problematic. But I recommend putting your diet into Chronometer and seeing how it holds up. And maybe you could use these as a little bit of insight, but I wouldn't lean to them too much, okay? That would be the final word. Don't follow precisely what they do, particularly if you have some sort of medical condition. Like, no, it's just too risky, I think. But that's going to be the video. I hope you learned something. I hope this was somewhat entertaining. And yeah, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and I'll see you next time.